Happy Tuesday, Care Bears, Pod Killers, and every capsulator in between. Here's your bite-sized weekly dose of New Eden news, tips, and information.
First up in the news, the war against bots is upon us. A mega coalition has formed to regain balance in null space. Genesis Federation, Golden Horde, and Silent Alliance have come together to wage war against bots. Botting alliances continue to hold space from their bot farm operations and have rallied to protect them. With accusations of botting and racism on both sides, the situation could get out of hand. With over 200 billion worth of enemy casualties, the war is far from over. We'll keep you updated as things progress, but if you have any information for us, please join our Discord and let us know.
Unless there's another major change, Plex pricing will likely stay on its slow and steady course. This week, the average price is $445,000. That's about $30,000 more than last week. You thought Tech 8 took a while. Well, just so you know, Tech 9 will take another 4 months to reach on the average, so settle in. Lastly, shuttles have been added to the game. They are intended as a cheap, simple, easy bare-bones way to get around, but the prices are mystifyingly around the $3 million mark. This makes them a terrible, useless, and pointless choice for anything. They're just new bling pods. This is where you'd hear your corp ad, as would all of our listeners, if you sent one to us. Our Alliance ad this week, the Pantheon Alliance is interviewing for more potential member corps. Move your corp to some excellent nullsec space and fly with thousands in a massive coalition. Be a part of something big, get rich, and control a region along with well-organized, friendly, and efficient allies. Link to the Pantheon Discord is in the description. Give me your ads if you want to hear yours instead. As far as bounties, the bounty office we have been using has stopped updating. So if you'd like to see this podcast host its own bounty board for you to submit bounties to and collect from, let us know. For your tip of the week this week, I know a lot of you who run a corporate alliance want a catch-all where you can feel like you get the most people who want to do a bit of everything. But let me go ahead and stop you right there. You're probably also wondering why you're having a hard time with recruitment and retention. Jacks of all trades are masters of none. You will absolutely attract more members and keep them if you have a clear theme, style, and goal. Develop a culture and personality that's unique to your outfit to set you apart and make it feel different from the rest. Focus on key areas. Don't try to do everything or be everywhere. It's okay to focus up, and if that means having to say goodbye to members who are no longer on board with things, it may suck, but it may also be necessary for growth. Make your average show how non-standard you are. Do a couple specific activities, and do them in your own particular manner. As a corporation, you should feel out the needs of your membership and set common goals to reach them. You can't see the forest for the trees, so do what you can to stand out. Alrighty, this week we are talking with Chris. What's your title again, Chris?
I'm the Lard Commandante of Honk, which is basically the leader de facto of the Alliance.
Which is something I definitely wanted you to say instead of me.
It's the I'm in charge of the larder, which is our inventory, our industry, all of our manufacturing, and we call it the Lard Commandante rule.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great tonight. We just killed Citadel this morning, and everyone's spirits are very high.
Excellent. So is this your first EVE, or did you come here from EVE Online?
So I played EVE Online back in 2006. I was with Goonfleet and Red Swarm when we moved down south to kill Bob. I didn't really play much after we killed Bob. I was part of the first Doomsday. by the LV Titan, and I got doomsdayed by Shrike's Titan like 4 times. So I'm very well aware of EVE Online and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, Bob, I have not heard that name in 15 years.
So what happened with in EVE Online was we were a bunch of newbies, and we didn't have a lot of skills, but we had numbers. And something happened. I believe someone made a joke back in 2008 and stuff, and Bob declared Goonfleet would never hold sovereignty. We went to Cloud Ring to attack D2 and held Iron Size for 5 days. We had Sov for 5 days when we were on the map, and it was a joke because we shot the station by accident and realized we could take that system, so we all swarmed in there. And it was a week-long battle for D2, and after that, Bob just declared there was no goons and that there would be red to us forever. So we teamed up with the Red Alliance at the time, who was also being destroyed by LV, and we systematically over the next 2 years destroyed all of LV and Bob.
Quite a infamous story what happened there.
Yeah, but I haven't really played much since. I got into college and started working. I'm an accountant. I'm a tax accountant that I didn't have time for EVE Online and as much effort it takes to play that game. I love the market stuff. I play mostly games that are dealt with markets and economies. I love supply chain management games. But I could never touch EVE Online's economy because of the lottery and how much effort it takes to get blueprints that are able to compete with the market. So I always told myself, if EVE ever did another market game, I would be there. And I've been here since day 0 on this game.
Is Echoes a good substitute for EO?
Oh, absolutely. I think, honestly, EVE Echoes is a much better game than EVE Online. I absolutely enjoy my time with EVE Echoes. I love the supply chain management of EVE Echoes. I love being part of this market since the beginning. It's very unique. I'm really excited for the B-type mechanics that just got announced, and we are looking forward to capitalize on it as much as possible.
I've heard a lot of people who are very supportive of Echoes. I think you may be the first one who said they enjoy it more so than EO.
I'll second that because I have 0 EO experience, so EVE Echoes that's where it's at.
I absolutely believe that EVE Echoes is a superior game, even though it's a mobile game. It's just all the stuff that I hated about EVE Online is not in EVE Echoes, and all the stuff I loved about EVE Online is in EVE Echoes. What we need is freighters, though. Freighters are what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, that I can see fitting in perfectly.
I mean, the problem right now is just we can't really move any minerals around, so you basically have to just build wherever you have your loans.
Yeah, definitely. What were the B-type mechanics you were talking about?
So last week, they announced that they're going to have the purple gear. So we have green and blue gear now, C-types and the faction and storyline stuff. And they want to be able to refine and reprocess the C-type, the blue gear, so that you can build purple gear, which is the B-types. So expect to be able to reprocess all the C-type gear that's not being used and make purple gear out of it.
And that's all the stuff that you would get out of like Dead Space, possibly Scout anomalies. Does that include Scout and Inquisitor anomalies?
Scout anomalies usually have blueprints and for like CCCs and rigs and whatnot and data cores. That's what you're looking for Scouts and Inquisitors. The Dead Space is what specifically drops the C-type gear at the moment.
The good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
Well, I didn't know that they were adding that, so that's very good to know.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I really like this mechanic. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, honestly.
What is Honk?
So Honk is an idea, we formed together. We splintered from goons that first came into the game twice, actually. And we had a lot of drama in the beginning and whatnot. So Goose Fleets was the overwhelming demand for the name of the Alliance. This is basically the Something Awful Goons coming into the game and forming up and playing and having a chill time. And Goose Fleet is one. We go around honking in local. We like to bump people in high sec and honk at them, and we get other people to honk at us. All the Chinese players that we've been playing with in Tribute and Veil of Silent, they all honk in Chinese at us, and we honk at them in Chinese. And it's a lot of fun. Well, one of the things we enjoyed doing at first was when we were in tribute, going around, is we would sell mining licenses to people. And we would have paperwork for everyone to fill out if they didn't want us to destroy their miners. And we would file it in Tazy and stuff. And if we, accidentally destroyed another miner, we tell them that they weren't displaying their mining license, and they needed to re-up their mining licenses. It was expired and stuff like that. We were selling them for about 10 mil.
I remember an organization that did that in EO and ganked a whole lot of high-sec miners. It was kind of glorious.
We're just a bunch of geese flying around and honking up a good time as much as we can.
Honking up a good time. Awesome. Do you have any kind of restrictions or regulations or hiring minimum requirements?
We aren't really publicly hiring. We recruit from Something Awful. So that means you have to be a goon from Something Awful and membership of SA. We allow our members that are goons to vouch for public members that they enjoy. We have a very unique culture. We're mainly socialists and communists these days, and we're very careful about who we let in, because it can be very abrasive when you let a capitalist mindseted person, who is the majority of players in EVE, Echoes because of how the market economy works. And we've always found that it just causes so much more drama. So if you are interested in Honk, you have to enjoy being around us. You have to hang out with us, and we have to get to know you to make sure that it's a good culture fit for our alliance. We have let puppies in, or when I say puppy, it's someone who is a part of the public. We just call them puppies. There's a few organizations that have flown next to us that also honk in local that we've come to enjoy. We blew them up and stuff, and they love hanging out with us. I know we have lots of Chinese friends that we've hung out with and mined with and done lots of ops on and stuff.
So what you're saying is I can go into your space, honk at you, I can die, but still have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And we die all the time too. Like, we're not exactly the best PvP players in the game. In fact, I've lost 2 fleets in the past 2 days, and all of us don't care. We're here to have a good time. I can make 100 Vexor and Navy issues in about 3 hours. So, we really just don't care about PvP that much.
Well, I think it's a good spirit to have, just actually playing the game for the fun of it and less worrying about ISK efficiency.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, killmails, I think we lost 2.4 bill in killmails yesterday, but that cost us 400 mil in SRP. So it's not the killmails are so overinflated, it doesn't even matter anymore. To me, this game is a supply chain management game. Can I continue producing ships and putting people in those ships to fight you? And can you do the same? So that's that. You can swipe ISK all day and buy Plex, but that's not going to get you Isogen in your station in nullsec. So it's about a supply. This game is a supply chain management game to me.
But how does socialism work in an organization in Echoes?
Okay, so for what we do is we have a very centralized economy. So we have a alliance currency that we use because, as you know, taxes are insanely high. If I contract anything to anyone, it's an 8% loss of ISK immediately. So we have a currency we call golden eggs that people donate into the wallets of the corporation, and then I send them ships for at zero cost to them once they do that. We also use tax money to raise money. We were at 20% taxes for a while. That pretty much paid for all the ships. We're at 10% now, and we don't really need tax money anymore. We have enough assets now to generate revenue that covers all our expenses. We did an audit yesterday. We physically counted all of our assets, and we had about 150 billion of ships, blueprints, data cores, Rex, C-type gear, mostly C-type gear actually. And we're able to generate enough revenue off of that assets to cover all of our expenses for SRP. All of our T6 and below is free. We ask for cost for T7 and above. So like a prophecy currently costs us about 160 million to make. So that will cost someone 160 million in golden eggs, and I contract to them at 0, and they can go have fun with a 13-hour audit log. So we have a very centralized economy for these for T8s. We raised up 100 bill in golden eggs and outside external investment. We were using it to build 10 faction battleships and 100 T8 battle cruisers, and then we're going to pay them all out in golden eggs. They can withdraw that at any time. We usually keep a 1-to-4 ISK ratio for liabilities, so we have enough to cover anyone that wants to withdraw ISK. And it's been pretty good so far. I'm really proud of everyone for trusting me with 150 billion ISK, but we're doing pretty good so far.
That's a pretty heavy-duty industrial machine. Do any other entities try and disrupt you?
I mean, they can't. It's all in HiSec. So until there's war decks, there's absolutely no way to stop our economy.
Well, you keep all your industry in HiSec. All right.
Yes, we do. We don't. Mining is pretty much a waste of time, in our opinion. We stripped mined an entire system in Tribute, and we got one battle cruiser out of it, maybe. So, and that took like 4 hours. So we don't really deal with mining. We have a lot of relations with alliances and all the people that are living HiSec and stuff. We get discounts for minerals. We buy ore from HiSec miners and other entities and stuff, and that allows us to usually give about 10% profit margin on any ship we sell. And then we have all of our industrials. We have about 15 people that build ships, and they're all specialized for like cruisers and destroyers. I'll have 554 on it. I've got my market alt has 555 on accounting, so I sell it all at the lowest cost possible. So we have a very tightly run ship here, and everyone's doing it for the good of the alliance. Everyone is very socialist minded. They don't want to get paid. They just want to hang out and have fun, and they like cheap ships. So if you can get cheap ships with a socialist minded economy, then everyone's having fun.
Cheap ships can definitely do a lot of work.
I personally love throwing just walls of cheap garbage at things.
Yeah, that's basically how we see it. Like I'm not tactically minded. I'm a very grand strategy person. I fly around in our fleets in a pro cov-op, so I can just like oversee the fight. Someone else calls targets. I'm just there to make sure that we're not losing too bad. We're not very good at PvP. We see it as throw vexers at it and solve problems.
Well, speaking of PvP, did you recently have conflicts with SHH?
Yeah, we've had conflicts with SHH since the end of September. We've been fighting them as much as we can. To give an explanation of what happened, the North came at VVV's Citadel in Y-C, and we've been defending that Citadel for pretty much all of September. And we had maybe 5 vexers in this fight, and North came to attack, and they saw us in local. And we're like, hey, did you guys set the shield timer? And we're like, yeah, sure we did. And they're like, okay, can we jump into Y-Z? Is it clear? Like, yeah, it's friendly, man. Jump right in. And they lost their fleet to the VVV gate camp that was on the other side. And from that, I told my diplomats, I was like, guys, I'm sick of defending the Citadel. We need to find a way to stop attacking the Citadel. So our 200-man alliance brokered a territory deal between North and VVV, and that united the 3 of us. And we decided that the Silent Alliance is what we needed to attack first, because Silent Alliance sent a fleet the week after at VVV, which I'm sure you've seen many Reddit posts about. It was one of the biggest battles in the game at the time, and it was I think they said they killed like 200 ships and lost 20, but those 20 were like 8 Scythes and 5 Moa Guardians and all very expensive ships. So we've been fighting the Silent Alliance since then. One of their corporations was a splinter goon group and is actually part of GSE and EVE Online. They have some lots. That's where basically the GSE goons are. We're not affiliated with EVE Online goons. They actually don't even like us because we're socialists. And so we've been fighting the Silent Alliance since about then. We went around burning all their bases down in Declan and stuff. And then it's just been building up since then. And VVV has now gotten to the point where they have enough territory to start attacking. They have enough resources where we burned the RG9 Citadel last week, I think. And then Brave, one of Silent Alliance's allies, went and tried to put a Citadel down in Branch today, and we burned it this morning.
Do you see any cessation of hostilities at any point in the near future?
No, unfortunately, if you guys don't know, like Silent Alliance puts all of their resources into fighting Honk, and they're about 10 times our size. They really should be focusing on threats that are not us, but they spend all their time attacking us. We have a very big culture rift between us. We find them very sexist, very toxic, very racist in their alliance chats. Their main FC, Michael JD, he puts gas in his hold at the quantity of 1488, which is a Holocaust reference, basically making a Holocaust joke whenever he does that. He was banned from the EVE Online Alliance tournaments because of this. And their culture is your normal super toxic gamer culture. And they've made fun of women that were doing interviews with talking on stations. They make jokes about them wanting to get back in the kitchen and stuff like that. And I've spent the past 10 years fighting toxic gaming culture in every game that I play. They're going to be always red to us. We're going to be, until they break apart and do the things, they're perma-red to us.
I did not know that about SHH and any of that kind of behavior. It's a video game, people. Come on.
One of the biggest racist corps was called Pooh, and the name of the corporation was called Chinaman Bad. Since allying with Golden Horde, they were basically leaned on by Golden Horde to change that corporation name, because no one wants that shit in the game. Like, no one wants a blatantly racist corporation with a whole bunch of racist names, like some Ting Wong making fun of Chinese naming conventions. So Golden Horde has actually been a positive influence so far on their external view of their super toxic racist ways, but their internal culture hasn't changed at all. Like, everyone has their reasons for fighting. I'm here to fight space racists.
Very valid and noble.
See, and they had recently just joined up with GenFed and GHA, like you'd said. And I know for a fact that they have zero tolerance towards racism and all that. And it sounds like SHH maybe doesn't have such a zero tolerance policy then?
Yeah, that is correct. So GenFed is actually, their internal culture was similar to ours. They're very, like, we have no tolerance to anything. Like, if anyone makes even a racist comment in Honk, there's no warning. They get banned immediately. There was one person that was making like incel sexist jokes, and he was banned immediately back in October. So I don't think that GenFed really knew who the Silent Alliance was, or on different sides of the universe. I know that GenFed was not happy with some of the stuff from the intel that I've gotten, but we'll see how it goes once GenFed really understands. So I know that they were asking us for proof of the allegations, and we sent them everything that we had. And if you guys ever need proof of allegations, we have tabulated everything, and we've posted on Reddit before. And I know most people think like they don't think it's enough or whatnot, but there's definitely some very, very bad stuff from these guys.
Yeah, if you can provide us something we can put in the show notes, we do try and be as factual and backed up as we can, which is hard to do when most of what you see is invariably somebody's propaganda on one side or the other. I'm assuming you're aware of the conflicts between players and bot farms coming up.
Yeah, we've been approached by Golden Horde and GenFed and stuff with the body allegations. Most of the body allegations that I have seen it seems to be a language barrier. VVV, we've been flying with VVV since early September, and they're humans just like us. Like, once you can get past that language barrier, you learn to speak Chinese, use Google Translation to talk to them. They mine, they have girlfriends, they have lives. Chinese alliances to me, they are alliances in the game. And it breaks my heart that so many people don't want to reach out and try and get past this language barrier when they hold this idea that Chinese culture is about cheating. And it's not. If you just get to know these people, you'll see that they're just like you and me, and that they have all the wants and needs of a human being, just like we do. I'm sure that every single alliance has individuals that bot. Like, I've seen Golden Horde botters. I've seen Gen Fed botters. That doesn't mean that the alliance itself is attempting to run entire botting networks. The only botting alliance I've seen that I know is probably a botting alliance is PIBC. The rest of the alliances just seem to have individuals in their alliance that bot. Like, there was a player in the Silent Alliance that got banned for botting. Like, this is not something that is strictly a Chinese problem. This is a gaming problem. Like, Americans and Westerners and all that stuff also bots. This is not a specific to Chinese culture.
No, it's not specific to Chinese, and basically it's zero tolerance to botting. And even some of the bigger alliances, they say don't do it. Multi-boxing is one thing, using 6 emulator boxes on a single screen is one thing, but having some sort of code, and having a pod constantly go in and out of a station to a belt is probably obvious botting, and that's definitely frowned upon.
I mean, we have the policy. There's no botting in Honk. I've never seen anyone have botting behavior. There's fleet warps for alts and multi-boxing, but everyone knows in Honk that if you get caught botting, you're banned. Like, that's not cool. So, I mean, as far as prime target for botting, GenFed's the only one of these 3 big alliances that have ever talked about attacking botters. I know GenFed's been on a crusade against like PIBC, which I believe is an actual botting alliance, since for the past 2 months. Golden Horde and Silent Alliance have never ever mentioned their attacks on botting. So, from my intel, from what I have and stuff, this looks like Golden Horde going for a territory expansion in the Ville of the Silent. They're trying to keep people as they want the drone regions, and they want to keep everyone away from the drone regions that they can once they've opened up. I think Golden Horde and Silent Alliance are just trying to keep Silent Alliance from dying because they're being destroyed by VVV right now. And I really think that Golden Horde is using this to expand their territory.
Well, yeah, PIBC was the only one that I personally heard of that has been largely claimed to be a bot farm.
And to be fair, botting, like, PIBC has been in many different games, and there's lots of proof that they've bought in other games. So PIBC is someone we're never going to help or blue or anything like that.
Well, bots aside, Honk seems to be doing pretty well right now.
Yep, we have our industry on full engines right now. We are producing our faction battleships and T8 battlecruisers. After this initial rush, we'll probably keep 1 faction battleship in production at all times. I know a lot of my alliance wants T8 ships. We now have enough revenue to cover a battlecruiser SRP. So even though we don't have a lot of members. Our fleet numbers are around 40 to 50 on the weekends and stuff. We're going to be fleeting some battlecruisers here in the next month.
Nice. Well, that leads me to the next question. What does Honk have coming up in the near future?
Well, we're just going to continue attacking Silent Alliance. They have 2 more citadels we need to destroy. We're just hanging out. We're getting ready for all this B-type reprocessing stuff that we want to see how that goes. We are basically trying to be arms dealers in the game. We will sell ships to anyone. I'll sell ships to Silent Alliance. I don't care. Like, I like money. I like making profits for the alliance. I like growing our economy and giving us the ability to have a battlecruiser SRP just through selling ships. So it doesn't affect us who we sell to. And we are going to start gearing up in January, start making T9 battleships. And that is our focus.
Honk definitely has a unique identity. Would you say that's something to recommend to people? I mean, I do see a lot of Very similar general purpose corporations and alliances.
I think finding an identity is pretty important. You have to generate the culture inside with the alliance and stuff. You have to stand for something. And I mean, we're not. 10 years ago, gamers and goons and stuff didn't care about anything. We've all grown up now. It's 10 years later. We're all adults in our 30s and stuff. Most of the players in Honk are in their 30s, and we care about stuff now. We care about racism. We care about fighting injustices in our lives and stuff. And we like to have that in our games as well. We want to fight against the injustice of what we find in the game, whether it's Chinese racism or sexism from Silent Alliance. Like we're here to stand for something.
And now for your kill mail of the week, brought to you by Zan Corporation, that potted a 5.6 billion-isk Gila kill mail as a casualty of the ongoing war. Amongst other casualties, about 600 pilots were sent home at that battle. And also look out for Amaris Khan in his Venture 3. He's tallied over 150 kills of Ventures and Retrievers in his Venture 3 assault.
It's Skyray's Fit of the Week.
This week, I'll be taking a look at one of the new and frequently hated new Interdictor-class destroyers, the Coercer Interdictor. Interdictors are formidable weapons. Most of you are aware of their ability to gate camp a system, leaving any ships entering it easy prey for the Interdictor's allies. However, these ships are also effective hunters, capable of jumping into a belt or anomaly and shutting down the warp drives of every pilot within 25 kilometers radius without ever needing to lock on first. As if that weren't enough, the effect completely ignores warp stabilizers. If you are in the bubble, you aren't going to warp. Before we talk fittings, you should know that the loadout I'm about to give you requires at least 5-4 in destroyer engineering. You may need to adjust the fit a bit if your skills are lower. So let's look at the high slots. Like its other variants, the Coercer Interdictor is a laser boat, so I'll be fitting 4 Imperial Navy small pulse lasers. If you're like me and like cheap PvP fits, don't worry. Faction small pulse lasers are incredibly cheap while still packing a hefty punch. With my skills, which are admittedly better than average, I can easily exceed 200 DPS with them. Next, let's talk mid-slots. Obviously, we will want to equip an Interdiction Sphere launcher. That's the heart of this ship. The Mark 7 is ideal, but don't be afraid to buy a Mark 5 if needed. The difference between the two is minimal. Since the Sphere launcher will cover our warp disruption needs, we will add a couple of Mark 7 stasis webifiers to help us keep our opponents from leaving our bubble. For the low slots, let's start with a Mark 5 micro warp drive. Next, I'm about to make a bunch of you hate me by telling you to put a Mark 5 medium shield extender and an invulnerability field on an Amar ship. I know, normally such blasphemy would be grounds for immediate execution by the Emperor, but hear me out. Since we'll be operating in nullsec, we will frequently be dozens of jumps from the nearest station. Building for shield tanking means that our ship can repair itself in the field, and that is worth losing a couple hundred effective hit points in the exchange. Finally, let's talk rigs. You'll need 2 ancillary power grid router 1s in order to fit that shield extender. Additionally, you should put on a laser collision accelerator 1 and a laser burst air raider 1 to maximize your DPS. Now that we've fit our ship, let's talk about how to fly it. There are 3 ways to hunt with an interdictor. The first is to roam through anomalies or belts just like with any other destroyer. An interdictor is quite effective at this task. Unlike most ships, which have to wait to target ships before they can disrupt them, the Coercer Interdictor can launch its bubble as soon as it comes out of warp, giving targets very little time to align and warp away. The second strategy for this ship is the hated gate camp. Due to the size of the interdiction sphere, an interdictor can sit on top of a gate and project a field large enough to catch any target who enters the system through that gate. The advantage of this tactic is obvious. Targets have no opportunity to see the other side of a gate, so they have no way to avoid the interdictor. Of course, that is a double-edged sword. Just as your victims can't see you lying in wait, you have no way to see what's coming through the gate, and once you launch that sphere, you can't jump through for a full minute. If you aren't careful, the hunter can become the hunted. For that reason, gate camps are best done in a large group. Finally, let's talk about my favorite tactic, interdiction. The warp disruption field from an interdictor allows you to pull targets out of warp prematurely if you place it along the path of their warp within sensor range of their destination. That means you can force a target to come out of warp 100 kilometers from the gate they were headed to, and you'll be sitting there waiting for them when they arrive, ready to pounce. If you'd like to know more about the ship, please visit the Pirate's Guide to the Galaxy at pirates-guide.com to see more fits and to get the latest tips to improve your PvP performance in EVE Echoes. Until next week, this is Skyrim, signing off.
Well, that brings us to the end of another week. For a deep dive of the week's most important stories and the week in review, check out the EVE Echoes weekly news update on YouTube at Echoes from the Front. It's linked in the show notes.
And also, if you want to hear your killmails, bounties, corp, or alliance ads, even your own voice as a guest of the week, join our Discord and say hi. Link in the description.
If you enjoy the podcast, maybe tell the people you fly with about it. Since we don't really do any kind of advertising, most of our listeners are from word of mouth. If you're extra special sauce awesome, you could also leave a review on Apple Podcasts and warm this old pirate's cold, dead heart. Until next week, fly dangerously.
Fly safe.